Hi guys. We are going to see how this works since I don't know, I had something wrong with my Wi-Fi again today, so that sucks. But anyway, I had all my notes on my phone, but I can't see them now because I'm doing my video on the phone, so I will just have to go by memory. Okay, so welcome to day 1 of the Beating the Holiday Drain Challenge, and really protecting your energy. So what's important that we're going to talk about today, and please let me know when you sign on, like just shoot me a note or just let me know something that you're here and listening. We're going to really talk about how to identify an energy vampire and kind of what I mean by that. So hopefully you notice today's prompts, which are really like, what does that word or those words mean to you, right? What does it come up for you when you hear the term sort of energy vampire? And it's kind of just like a catchy phrase, a catchy way to really describe when you're around someone who kind of sucks your energy, right? Who kind of is a taker and may be someone who kind of energetically drains you if you're sharing their space, if you're in a conversation with them, if you're spending time with them, if you're in the same room as them, right? So what we're going to be talking a little bit about is how to notice when you're around someone who's kind of draining. What are the things that you might be feeling? And then kind of what that looks like in another person so that you can kind of identify that. So maybe some of you are the same way, but I definitely had experiences kind of before I understood a little bit more about people who sort of drain your energy or kind of those energetic components that people have. There are interactions I would have with friends or coworkers or even family members or just people that I knew in my world, where I would feel really exhausted just being around them, or I would feel kind of exhausted after being near them, right? Have you been in this conversation with someone or been at dinner with someone or been at a party with someone where they're just giving you a whole slew of negative things, right? Maybe there's no break in the conversation where you talk, right? Maybe it's just them kind of spilling a lot of information at you and really kind of taking some of your empathy or taking some of your energy, taking some of your attention really and focus. So the idea is like really paying attention to how you feel when you're in the presence of some other people, right? So my guess is that there are people that you spend time with where you feel really energized by them and you feel really happy and kind of you're just enjoying the experience. It feels easy, it feels relaxed, it feels comfortable. But there are other people where maybe it's draining, right? And you feel exhausted and tired. You might feel symptoms of anxiety. You might feel nervousness. You might even have nightmares that evening, right? You might feel kind of tired for no reason, irritable, really fatigued, kind of mentally drained, in addition to feeling physically drained. You might have sort of feelings of like just being a little sad or depressed, right? So notice these feelings, if they kind of pop up out of the blue, or if there's a pattern where you're noticing that every time you're spending time around a particular person, you're experiencing this, or you're feeling this kind of drain. And so the first step, and why we're talking about it today, is really kind of how to identify when you're interacting with someone like this. And then for the rest of the week, we're really going to talk about what do you do about that and how do you kind of protect yourself, ground yourself so that you're not as affected by it. And it's particularly important for us, for those of us, I'm just looking over at my dog. I'm not sure what he's chewing on. For those of us who are really affected by other people's emotions or other people's energies, you know, I know a lot of people in my life or my world who say things like, you know, I kind of pick up on other people's emotions, or I pick up on the energies of others, or I can kind of sense someone's like vibe or feeling, or I think it's common, right? Where you're sort of feeling some of these things, and maybe even for those of us who aren't able to articulate that, we are just kind of reacting to these changes or to these people and not really being able to understand that connection. So I want you to notice what happens if you think about a few different people in your life, right? If there's someone in your mind where you're kind of like, I think they might be sort of draining my energy, think about how you feel when they call you, or when they text you, or when you get an email from them, or when you know you have to be in a work meeting with them, right? Or if you know they're going to be out of the office. Or if you know you have to go to a party with a person or people who you feel kind of drain your energy. So notice your sort of initial gut reaction when you think of this person's name or when they reach out to you in some way, right? Are you thinking, oh, this is going to be a really light experience where it's going to be really easy and it'll be enjoyable and fun to hang out with this person? Or are you feeling like, oh gosh, I really don't want to go. They only ever have negative things to say. I feel really tired around them, right? So this type of person, again, to go a little bit deeper into it, there are just some examples because it can take all kinds of different forms, right? They can be the person where you feel like you never get a word in edgewise. They can be the person that's only talking about negative things, that's just spinning from negative thing, negative thing, negative thing. They could be sort of your yes, but person, right? Where you're giving them what you think might be helpful suggestions, and they're in a place of just rejecting all that help and feeling really comfortable complaining and having a lot of negativity come up for them. Now, this is not to say that you can't ever have any negativity come up to you, right? In every friendship, every relationship, you're going to be able to, you want to be able to have those experiences, right? Where you're sharing something negative that happened and the other person is responding and reciprocating. I'm talking more about when it's one-sided, right? Where that person is sort of just going on and on and on from negative thing to negative thing to negative thing, and they're always like that, right? That's their MO. And it's not like it's a once in a blue moon thing when something legitimately is going on for them, right? So it's more about that constant kind of experience with someone. Maybe they're talking and talking and talking and you can't get a word in edgewise. Or maybe they're sort of putting you on the defensive, or you're in a position where they're asking you a lot of questions, maybe intrusive questions, where you're sort of feeling like, oh gosh, like you have to kind of be on the defensive or brace yourself in a particular kind of way. People who aren't really picking up on your social cues or aren't really acknowledging your boundaries. Even if you set them, they may kind of push past them. They may give you sort of like digs periodically, right? So those people in your life who are just kind of taking from you, and there's not really a balance in the relationship. Maybe you feel like you're giving, or you're kind of exhausted being around them, but you don't feel like you have an appropriate balance, right? I'm sure that all of us can think of a few people like this in our world. Or imagine some people were just being in their space, maybe just being in a meeting with them. You can kind of feel them bring down the room, or that you're going to be tired by their sort of constant talking or constant negativity or constant stress and frenzy, right? So thinking about that, noticing it, that's really important. So your kind of task for day one really is thinking about those people in your life, right? Maybe people who can be kind of described as really negative or sort of help rejecting in their complaining and taking a lot from you instead of giving. Maybe people who are a bit passive aggressive. Now, I'm talking about patterns, right? I'm talking about the people where you feel like this over and over and over again, and that's kind of their MO. I'm not talking about the occasional sort of negative experience with someone, right? So I want you to really think about that and kind of think about some of the people in your life who might fit this pattern or fit this picture that I'm describing. And maybe some of you will be like, oh, nobody, like I don't have any experience like that. Okay, great, right? But I'm sure some of us will, right? Think about work, think about relationships, think about friendships, think about colleagues, romantic partners, whatever it is that comes up for you, but really think about the people who are in your world or periods of time when you did have these experiences with people. Maybe that was in the past for you, right? But being able to kind of identify that person and how it affects you is really important. Are you someone who feels drained after an encounter with this person? Are you someone who just kind of feels what they feel? So if they're really frenetic and irritable and kind of amped up, do you walk away from the conversation feeling kind of frenetic and irritable and kind of amped up and just uncomfortable? Because that's really important to know. Because one, there are lots of techniques that we're going to talk about this week to kind of separate yourself and distance yourself from that kind of energy so that it's not affecting you as much. But then also really how to understand when it's not just you feeling that way out of the blue, but that there's actually a direct relationship to your interaction with this person, and then that sort of causing or bringing out that feeling that you're having, right? So it's really important to be aware of that and to be aware of who does that for you. I want you to think about that and really think about the people in your life who might fit the description that I just gave. So if you feel comfortable, you're welcome to kind of post that for today's prompt, right? Like, you don't have to give me names, right? Don't do that. But like, yes, there's a colleague that I have that I experienced that with. Or yes, when I was in a relationship 10 years ago, I remember always feeling really drained around this person. Or there's a neighbor that always comes over to me and I feel really exhausted after, and I'm always trying to avoid her because she just goes through a list of negative things and I can't even really feel like I have any ability to communicate with her or room space to talk. So think about that. Think about people in your life who are like that, or experiences you may have had like this. And then whatever you feel comfortable with, just comment on so that we can kind of have a little bit of a conversation around it. Okay, and I hope you guys are enjoying the challenge, and I will see you tomorrow for the video for day 2.